Welcome to the Living the Dream podcast with Curveball. If you believe, you can achieve. Welcome to the Living the Dream with Curveball podcast, a show where I interview guests that teach, motivate, and inspire. Today, we're joined by mindset coach and clinical hypnotist. Hope I said that right, but Craig Meriwether. And what Craig focuses on is helping people reach their full potential by eliminating negative thoughts and traumas and emotions. So we're going to be talking to him about everything he's up to and how he helps people. So Craig, thank you so much for joining me today.
Hey, Curtis, thank you so much for inviting me onto your show. I've been looking forward to talking with you.
Why don't you start off by telling everybody a little bit about yourself?
Sure, I'm a clinical hypnotherapist, and what that means is we're using, it's not really talk therapy, but we're using not the conscious mind, but that unconscious part of mind, that subconscious part of mind to help with the healing. Now, this can be emotional healing. Maybe there's a mindset issue, limiting beliefs, lack of confidence. Maybe there's even physical issues going on. And what's fascinating about this is we know mind will heal the body. This is the placebo effect. If there's any sort of research going on, let's say a pharmaceutical company is doing research on a heart medication or low blood pressure medication or something, they want to get that out on the market. They have to do research and see how it works. And half the group is going to get the placebo, which is just a sugar pill. And the reason why they do that is because they know mind will heal the body. They actually have to account for that in their research. So half the group is going to get the sugar pill. They're going to trick them into healing themselves, all on their own. The other group is going to get the actual medication. And so let's say in this research example, 30% of the people getting the sugar pill get better. They have literally healed themselves. They got tricked into it, but they're healing themselves. Let's say 40% get better with the real medication. Well, the researchers now have to subtract 30% because maybe they also healed themselves through mind. The medication had nothing to do with it. So really only 10% got better on the medication. That's good enough, and they'll put it on the market at $70 a pill. But what no one really kind of takes a long look at is, yeah, but more people actually healed themselves through mind, healing themselves. Yeah, they got tricked into it. But really what hypnotherapy is using your ability to do that, only we're going to do it on purpose. We're not going to trick you into doing it. We're going to do it on purpose. And it's really all about your attention. Some people may know about hypnotherapy out there, or hypnosis. Maybe they've, seen movies or TV shows, or, maybe been to one of those shows at a comedy club or a Las Vegas show, a hypnotist show. And people are up on stage doing funny things, singing like Elvis Presley and dancing like Michael Jackson and barking like dogs and quacking like ducks and all that kind of stuff. And what's fascinating about this is people get turned off by that. It's funny, I guess, if you're watching a video, you're at an actual show. But people get turned off by that because they say, oh, well, I don't want to be controlled. I don't want to have somebody making me do funny things while I'm under. And that's not what this is. That's all a show. In fact, everybody up on that stage volunteered to be up there. They want to do that. I personally don't want to do that. And maybe Curtis and probably most of your listeners don't want to do that. But there's people out there who think that's really fun. They get that adrenaline rush by being on stage, and they're exhibitionists and they're extroverts, and they want to get up on stage and act funny and act silly and have a funny video to put on TikTok or Instagram or wherever. And so their intention is to have fun. And I look at them at the end of the show, and they have a big smile on their face. They had a great time. So what if your intention is to heal, though? This isn't about controlling people, but giving back control. In a sense, really, a lot of people are already hypnotized, especially if they're dealing with a lot of anxiety or dealing with anger or worry or overwhelm or fear. Some people may have fear of deep water, even though they live in the mountains of Colorado. They have deep fear of the ocean water. And it's like, well, you're already hypnotized, even though you may never even seen the ocean. And so there's a hypnotism that we all kind of walk through with life. And we find ourselves walking into work and all of a sudden feeling anxious and worried and upset just because we've kind of hypnotized ourselves to feel that way and when associated with work. Or I know people who are the most peaceful, most gentle, wonderful people, but you get them behind the wheel of a car on a busy highway, and the rage or the anger that comes out of them because they've hypnotized themselves to literally change their personality while behind the wheel of a car in a certain environment of in certain circumstances. So, in a lot of sense, we hypnotize ourselves just to move through life. And really, what a lot of this work is dehypnotizing people because you're coming to me because there's an issue in life that is maybe automatic, like that anxiety or that anger, maybe even that physical pain. I've worked with people who have, chronic pain for decades, and the doctors can't figure it out. There's MRIs and X-rays and physical therapists, and nobody can figure out this pain. And yet it's associated with maybe some sort of childhood trauma that they don't remember that's manifesting as physical pain in the lower back or the hip or the neck or wherever. And so it's amazing what the mind can do. It can hurt us in certain ways in terms of creating lots of anxiety or anger or even physical pain. But since you are in control of that, yeah, you've kind of turned it over to the automatic part of your mind. But by getting control of it again, you can change those instructions and heal those old wounds, even if you don't know what they are. Because again, this isn't talk therapy. We're not going to sit for, 80, 90, 100 sessions over 2 years to talk about the issues, only to have you feeling the same way because you're not really talking about the real issue, the core issue, because you don't remember what it is or you don't even know what it is. So what hypnotherapy does is kind of bypass that conscious level of mind just through some simple relaxation. There's no zombifying anybody into some sort of deep trance state to control them. That's the movies. That's fiction. What we do is just through some deep relaxation, and oftentimes we're having conversations. So you're kind of awake, sort of in a daydreamy state. And by doing that, you kind of quiet down that conscious level of mind, that analytical, logical mind, that kind of little itty bitty committee in your head that's constantly talking to you. Quiet that down. And so you can access that kind of computer code in your subconscious mind that's creating that anxiety or that anger. And you're allowed to change it. You're the one who created it in the first place, and not to say it was your fault. A lot of that stuff happens through a very traumatic event in life, maybe even when you were a child. That's not to blame the child or blame you, whatever age it was, say it was your fault. But if you're the one who installed the instructions on how to react to danger in your life, even as a child, if you're the one who did that unconsciously, certainly, and through a traumatic experience, but if you're the one who did that, that means you can change it and do something else. It's under your control. And so really what this work is of hypnotherapy is just uh, giving you back control, dehypnotizing you, and helping you create your best life.
So, what is the difference between hypnotherapy and meditation?
Meditation, while the feeling state may be similar, and even if you like hook people up to a brainwave scan and watch the brain, it may even look similar. The difference is in meditation, you often want those thoughts to move across the sky like clouds in the sky. It's always bringing your attention back to your breath, or maybe if you're doing transcendental meditation, you're having a mantra that you repeat over and over again. Uh, the difference between just meditation, more of like the Buddhist style, is that you're wanting to rid the thoughts from your head, moving back into a state of presence of mindfulness of the now, of what's happening now. With hypnotherapy, while the feeling state may be the same, the relaxation state may be the same. We actually want to use your imagination. We want to use your thoughts. A lot of people say, well, I can't be hypnotized because I have a overactive imagination. And it's like, oh, great. You actually may be better at this than a lot of people. Everybody can do this work. Because again, like I say, you're kind of hypnotizing yourself anyway, most days. Uh, or if you've ever had that experience, maybe going to a meeting at work, or if you remember high school math class or whatever class it may have been for you, and it's boring and you just start staring out the window, thinking about the weekend and how much fun it's going to be hanging out with your friends. You go into that daydreaming state, you start thinking about the future, or maybe thinking, remembering the past. That's the state of hypnosis. That's it. That's all you got to do. And if you can play pretend, and if you can use your imagination, if you can think of the future, and you can remember things in the past, then you can do this work. There's no like voodoo zombifying of people to control them, to make Jason Bourne assassinate the prime minister. This is all about healing and all about the work of changing the kind of instructions that have already been installed by you. Again, maybe unconsciously and through duress or through trauma, but through you. And so with meditation, that's a really wonderful process or exercise to, of course, lower blood pressure, make you feel better, help you focus in the now. Uh, Tons of research showing how helpful that process is. But a lot of people don't find it very useful because their minds are so active. And whether you're a great meditator or you're a terrible meditator and doesn't really work for you, hypnotherapy will work, because either way, you're going to be a good candidate for it. Because again, we're just using your mind, and to whatever level you want to go to in this state of hypnosis, the state of trance, this meditative like state is the right state to go to. Because again, your subconscious mind's is in control, not me or not any other kind of hypnotherapist. You're in control of it. And that's the thing. It's like you can't make somebody just go into hypnosis. I know there's those videos on YouTube and wherever, TikTok and Instagram, probably people on the street doing street hypnosis, and they walk up to somebody and just yell at them and very loudly sleep, and they fall over and they get them to, I don't know, do dumb stuff. That's all fake. That's all a setup. They know each other. They've practiced that before they went out onto the street. And so you can't do that to people. I can't go to the mall and just walk up to people and yell sleep. They'll run away and call the cops on me. That's a stress response that I'm going to put them in. If just walking up to strangers and yelling sleep at them and snapping my fingers or waving my hands around or whatever, that's kind of weird and frightening. So that's all a setup if you've seen videos like that. So, really this is work that all people can do. I know there's people that don't find meditation very helpful for them, just because their minds can be so active. And I've read the books where they say, yeah, I mean, if you practice and practice, maybe in 10 years, you really start getting it going. It's like 10 years. Now let's do this work now. And that's what's fascinating about hypnotherapy. Again, I'm not fixing anybody. And hypnotherapy in and of itself is not going to fix anybody. You're going to fix yourself. Because one, who better to know what the problem is than you? Even if it's in that unconscious part of mind, you know what it is because it's in there. Maybe not consciously. Conscious mind makes up 5% of mind. The unconscious mind, that subconscious part of mind, makes up 95% of mind. And if that's where all the hurt and the pain and the wounding is held, for protection, your subconscious mind is for you. It's not against you. It may not seem like that sometimes, but your subconscious mind is for you, but it's for your safety. It's for your protection. It's for your survival, which may not necessarily mean your happiness and your success, but it's for your survival. And it's using what you've gone through in the past as guideposts on how to keep you safe. And so the warning signals of anxiety and anger and overwhelm and worry and fear are your mind trying to get your attention through the feeling states in your body. And of course, if you don't pay attention to it, it's just going to turn up the volume on it. And not unlike maybe a fire alarm in a building. But in terms of, again, going back to meditation, meditation is used as just a way to focus you in the present moment, because a lot of fear happens when we try to think of the future sometimes, or a lot of pain happens when we remember the past. So you want to bring your attention to the present moment and to this breath, and now to this breath, or to this mantra, or to this feeling state in your body, and then just let it go to the next moment. When hypnotherapy, while again using maybe the same kind of relaxed state of mind and body, we're there to heal. And that may involve talking, it may involve using your imagination, it may involve even pretending. Because what's fascinating about the mind is the mind can't tell the difference between what's real and what's imagined. And so this is most noticeable, let's say, in a nightmare. And no matter how crazy or how ridiculous or how stupid the nightmare may be, let's say a gigantic cheeseburger and his two hot dog friends are chasing down the street throwing coconuts at you. It's stupid. It's not going to happen ever. And yet your mind can't tell the difference. And while in deep sleep, it'll turn on the stress response because it thinks that you are under attack. And it's a lot of effort for the mind and brain to turn on the stress response. So it starts creating that adrenaline and cortisol in your brain, dumping that into your bloodstream. And Curtis, probably your listeners, you've heard those crazy stories of grandmothers lifting cars off of babies and things like that. That's adrenaline doing that. That's how dumping into your bloodstream. 300% more blood's moving to the big muscles of your arms to fight your way out of this dangerous situation. 300% more blood moving to big muscles of your legs to escape. It's got to come from somewhere. So your body's now turning down the power on your immune system. That's why people get sick when they're stressed, in chronic stress, as turning down the volume on your digestive system. That's why people get irritable bowel syndrome, IBS, when they're stressed for long periods of time. And this is all happening while you're asleep because of cheeseburgers chasing down the street. So what's happening in your waking world? And so we use that to our advantage, right? So we know thought, no matter how ridiculous that thought may be, a cheeseburger chasing you down the street, a thought can change your physiology. So we use that to our advantage. We use the fact that, like the placebo effect, your mind can heal the body, change how you feel in your body. So we use that to our advantage. So we're really, not doing anything different than what you're already doing in life, mostly unconsciously and automatically, like turning on the stress response. And we're also not taking control away from you, but giving you back control. Because in a sense, if you're getting upset because a cheeseburger is chasing you down the street, you're already out of control. So we're going to give you back control. So this is really a way of just returning to who you really are, stripping away that anxiety and the stress and overwhelm, that maybe the hurt and pain you've been carrying maybe for decades, and allowing you to return to who you truly are. Just kind of cleaning away like that, like a dirty window. The view's always there. Just wash the window. So that's what we're doing.
Well, what are some of the ways people can use hypnotherapy in their lives?
Let's take a quick break.
Okay, everybody, it's Michael E. Cullen II.
And I'm Sesame and Carta from the All Too Real 2 podcast. We're passionate about movies, TV, and pretty much all things pop culture.
Dive into the chaos of failed sitcoms, direct-to-video sequels, and the quirky realms of cinema and TV.
Join us every Thursday for your dose of All Too Real 2 entertainment.
We'll guide you through debates like whether Howard the Duck qualifies as a superhero.
Ponder if Larry the Cable Guy could be the new Rock or Schwarzenegger.
Discover if some shows and movies should have stayed in the cutting room.
Ever heard of a sitcom featuring that dictator with the funny mustache? Well, we watched it.
We're dedicated to unraveling the peculiarities of pop culture, sometimes with awesome guests.
So, if you're into the eccentric world of pop culture,
listen and subscribe to All Too Real 2.
Available wherever you find podcasts
and on Age of Radio.
I have worked, an example, a few months ago, I worked with a 9-year-old kid who had been struggling with chronic nightmares every night for 2 years. Been to all the counselors, all the talk therapists, even been to doctors just to make sure there's no kind of brain issue going on. Chronic nightmares for 2 years. I worked with him for 45 minutes and he never had a nightmare again. I worked with a 77-year-old woman recently who only just told me she's dealing with chronic anxiety since she was 19. I have people fill out an intake form before they do a session. And we do sessions over Zoom. Most of my sessions are over Zoom now. So I work with people around the country, around the world. And, some people write 7, 8 detailed paragraphs, which is wonderful. And we'll work on what they want to work on. Other people maybe just write one word, anxiety. And that's what this 77-year-old woman wrote, was just anxiety. And we talked on the phone and just all she talked about. So it's this anxiety I've been dealing with. And so when we were on the session, a Zoom session, I just asked her, okay, just to get some little more information, how long has this been going on? A couple months, a couple years. She said since she was 19. This is a 77-year-old woman who's been in chronic anxiety since she was 19. I did not ask what happened at 19. She did not offer that information, but that's what we work on because she knows what that means. And I worked with her 2, 3 times and she rid herself. It ended up being something that actually started off with the abuse she dealt with when she was a child, like around 8 years old. So she'd been carrying this stuff for like 70 years and she just got tired of it. So really, hypnotherapy can work with pretty much whatever, anything. This is not alternative medicine. This isn't instead of, always go to your doctor, but we can be a part of that process. If someone's having surgery, hypnotherapy is shown to lower anxiety rates by 56%. And so heart rates are lower, blood pressure is lower. People get out of the hospital sooner if they've had hypnotherapy beforehand. This works with athletes. I just worked literally last week with a professional basketball player in Iceland, and it's just like things on confidence or things, I've worked with someone who's doing gymnastics and she had like tumbled wrong and like injured herself. And then she lost her confidence in doing that move. And so she had confidence. Now she doesn't have confidence. So let's bring back the confidence. So whether you're an athlete, you're a professional an entrepreneur who wants to feel more confident giving speeches, somebody who's in physical pain, somebody who needs to go get dental work done but is allergic to the lidocaine or novocaine. You can teach yourself how to do dental work without any novocaine. Root canals, you watch YouTube videos of people doing this. It really just works. Honestly, this is the one business that may be for everyone and whatever you're dealing with. And you still see your talk therapist, still see your doctors, but it can be part of the team, And so it really works with anything, whether you're dealing with early childhood trauma or you're dealing with, lack of confidence issues. You're, a 9-year-old dealing with, nightmare issues. It pretty much works with a lot of different things. And I've worked with all sorts of different people in different situations, veterans with post-traumatic stress disorder, students dealing with test anxiety, athletes just working with peak performance and confidence, just, and anyone who's just maybe dealing with fears in their life, overwhelm, anxiety, early childhood trauma. I said that, helping cancer patients with pain control, all sorts of stuff. It works pretty much with everything because it's your mind that we're dealing with, and that pretty much controls everything.
Well, tell us about any upcoming projects that you're working on that people need to be aware of.
Yeah, I just actually finished one. Speaking of, since I just mentioned students with test anxiety, I just finished a course on test anxiety. It's called ACE Any Test. And not just, a lot of people think of test anxiety and think of maybe high school students taking final exams in math class or history class or something. But, of course, there's university students, but there's, the 22-year-old who wants to get into law school needs to take the LSAT, or the medical student who needs to take the MCAS to get into medical school, or the law graduate now has to take the bar exam, or plumbers, electricians, firefighters, everybody, people in the military, if they want to move up in rank, have to take tests. A 65-year-old who's bored in retirement and wants to start a career as a real estate agent has to take the real estate agent exam, and maybe they haven't taken a test in 55 years. This is for anybody who might have to take a test, or if you're a musician or an actor doing an audition, or needing to do public speaking. It's a great course. That's what I just finished recently, ACE Any Test. And with in terms of, if you want more information about doing hypnotherapy, my name is Craig Meriwether. I live in Flagstaff, Arizona, though like I mentioned before, I work with people around the country, around the world, doing Zoom sessions. Works really well because people feel comfortable, relaxed in their homes. They feel safe in their homes. So it works really, really well. And the name of my practice is Arizona Integrative Hypnotherapy, which I know is a mouthful. But if you just go to Google and search for Flagstaff Hypnosis, you'll see me come up, Arizona Integrative Hypnotherapy. And just email me from there.
There you go. You just answered my next question about throwing out your contact info. So close us out with any final thoughts. Maybe if there was something I forgot to talk about that you would like to touch on, or any final thoughts you have for the listener.
Yeah, just real quick. What I like to tell people is you have the ability to change. You're changing all the time anyway, but you're allowed to change on purpose and become the person you want to be. A lot of it comes down to what you are practicing, because what you do over and over again is what's strongest within your mind. What you practice, you get better at. So this goes along with, if you're learning how to play the guitar or the saxophone or the piano, or you're learning dance, or you're learning martial arts, a little kid learning to walk, a child learning to ride a bicycle. What you practice, you get better at. So what if you're practicing anxiety? What if you're practicing anger? What if you're practicing fear? You're just going to get better and better at it. So it's time to, when you're ready, it's time to change that coding, that subconscious coding, and become the person you want to be. And then just practice being that person. It's it really doesn't have to be that difficult. It can be kind of easy and kind of that simple. It's just what you practice, you get better at. So if you're not happy with where you are, it's time to start practicing something else.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. Craig Meriwether. Please be sure to keep up with his work. Check out everything that he's up to. Share, follow, rate, review. Send this to everybody you know. Jump on your favorite podcast app. Follow the show. Check it out. If you have any guest or suggestion topics, Curtis Jackson 1978 at att.net is the place to send them. Thank you for listening and supporting the show. Craig, thank you for all that you do, and thank you for joining us. For more information on the Living the Dream podcast, visit www.djcurveball.com. Until next time, stay focused on living the dream.